Hello guys and welcome to another video, and today we will be doing a daily race C at Suzuka, and we have a special competitor in the lobby. It's the world champion of 2021 and he's also a winner of the first Olympic esports challenge, and you probably know him from the game as well. And now moving on to the race, and my start was actually quite good. So we are running Super Formulas 2023 at Suzuka. The other Italian behind didn't really had such a great start. He jump started and received a penalty, and then just at the start he had to serve his penalty. But the guy behind me is also a World Tour driver, so we are in quite a tough lobby. But as usual, I'll try to do my best. And of course here you need to have a little look at what kind of start as a world champion you have. So P16 all the way up to P12 in a matter of just a couple of 100 meters. So basically at the start he's getting at least like 5 to 6 places, and now you can see how positioning the car actually works in this one. Super Formulas, a little bit of contact, nothing too much, but all the way up to P10. And now he's really getting closer to P9 on the outside of this corner. It's usually not the place to go for a move, but he somehow made it possible. Up to P9, now Momos is in front of him, a little bit of blocking, but I think Momos just realized that this is probably not worthy of a fight and just let him pass. So here he's up to P7 and we haven't even made it up to half of the lap. On the other hand, I'm just gonna go back to my own race, and this is the point where I actually lost my lead. So there was no point of even defending. I could have defended this one, but if he's in the slipstream he will most likely take the lead. So it was kind of a special race because slipstream was set to custom, and on the straight you had the slipstream, in the corners you didn't, and I think this changed this race forever. So a little bit of this overtake button, I try to go on the outside, but that's probably not the smartest idea, and usually the first corner isn't the place where you're gonna overtake a World Tour driver on the outside. But this German, on the other hand, for Valerio, made this little mistake and he was promoted up to P5. So without too much struggle, he's managing to get a couple of places, and all of a sudden Danesh just disappears. I don't know what happened to him, but I think he had some problems with his wheel, and I think his wheel disconnected at this point. So he's once again Valerio. We're going back to Valerio, and he managed to get up to P4 and now chasing the guy in P3. And this was the star of the show and the star of this race, the overtake button. And what is the overtake button? It's a different fuel mixture that adds a couple of horsepower, and you can gain a bit of time on the straight, in the corners, or depends. It really depends on where you're trying to use it, but it's usually better at the acceleration zone, so you can carry that speed all the way down to the straight like Valerio did right now. So it was up to P3 and it was second lap. I think it's not only skill, it was a little bit of luck, but I cannot deny the skill. And one lap later we had ourselves kind of a tough situation. I'm going back to my own race, and then the Italian got really close to me, but he didn't want to go for a move because he realized that if we start fighting right now we will most likely lose some speed and lose some time. But then I had a little look at the map, and then I realized that Valerio is getting really close. And fast forwarding to lap number 5, and Italian once again didn't want to go for a move, but then I think he just misjudged his braking point, gave me a little tap, and then Valerio managed to get up to P2 in this race. So it was lap number 5, and this is from his point of view. He just tried to go on the outside. Somehow the car started to slide a little bit, but he was able to carry the speed and able to actually get that position. And it was quite insane when I was actually looking at the replay, because usually if you're on the outside of the corner it doesn't work. It doesn't work, it just doesn't. But then a lap later you can see him, he's just behind me, and you know, there was no point of defending, because if you have the slipstream on the straight there will be almost no point of defending because he's just so much quicker. But this was also the lap where we needed to pit, so it was the optimal strategy. If you pit in this lap you will have the optimum time, but I should have stayed out for one more lap, but I think that was the decision that I should have made when I was actually racing. But I just got behind him. I had the full overtake button. Actually I had about 75% of the overtake button, and my goal now was to stay with him. So do not let him go. If he goes over a second of a gap, I will not have a good chance of actually following him on the straight, because I will not get the benefit of the slipstream. So that was crucial for me. Stay with him in the first lap when the tires are not exactly up to the temp, and then use the overtake button if you need it, when you need it. And don't ever do like more than a couple of seconds of the overtake button and save it for later. This is something that proved out to be almost strategical decision, let's say, because I didn't really do it. I saved a little bit, but I saved too little for the last corner. So you will see now that I'm actually starting to chase him now. So he's really quick. I'm in the slipstream, and the slipstream is getting me that benefit of a little bit more speed on the straight. In the corners, it's not exactly ideal. You lose a bit of downforce, and of course you lose a bit of that cornering speed in the corners, but it's on the straight, it's very useful. But I'm trying to save my overtake button. This was crucial for me at this point, because if I used a lot of this overtake button, none of this would matter, because I would just, you know, see him in the distance and he would just use the overtake button, and that's pretty much about it. But now I actually got a decent chance to stay with him. And now, yeah, later when I was watching this replay and when I was recording this video, I noticed that he was really using a lot of this overtake button. I think he just tried to get away from me, because, you know, when you're in the slipstream, you can follow easier. It's not easy, but it's easier, and you're getting that benefit of the slipstream, as I said before. But me, on the other hand, I really tried to, you know, stay behind, use the right lines, not make a mistake. And what I saw right there, he made a little wobble. It wasn't much, but it was just about enough to keep me there, to keep me in that second place, about half a second behind him. And then when you're half a second behind, you got a pretty decent toe on the straight. So I'm in a good position here. Nothing is out of sight, so I can still win this. And now I can actually see that he started to use a lot of this overtake button on the acceleration zones, and he actually pulled away. So he was about 6 to 7 tenths. I knew that if I can kind of stay behind him and stay close to him without using the overtake button that much, I could potentially go for a move in the last corner, or even in the last couple of corners. But then when I was watching his driving style, I just noticed how aggressive his driving style actually is. He's not saving tires, he's just pulling one side to another side, and changes of directions are really quick. Usually you want to be smooth with the weight transition, and in the next couple of laps I kind of stayed behind him. I saved my tires a little bit, I saved my overtake button, but you can see it's going down, because on the straights he always had a better exit. And then I realized that I have to do something about it. I have to take a better risk. And now on the straight, I pushed this overtake button, and then I was about 4 tenths behind him. So it wasn't such a huge gap. I can still get this. And this first section was absolutely crucial. He was always going very wide, and he was able to carry that speed on the exit. And that, once again, it was crucial to get the best possible result out of this one and the optimal lap times. So here I got really close, and I had a bit of this overtake button left, and I definitely said to myself, you know what, stay behind him, just stay there and take risks if you need it. Don't go too much, don't go over the track, you still got those slipstream zones. And then I just pressed the overtake button. I think I didn't have to do it there. I think I had to save it for the straights, for the long straights, because now I am missing the overtake button. I'm missing that horsepower that would push me up to 2 tenths, that I can go for that move and get additional tow from the car in front. And then it was this corner where I actually lost a bit of pace, from going from 4 tenths all the way up to 6 tenths. The gap was increasing, and he actually realized that unless he moves around the circuit, he might be under threat, because I had a bit of this overtake button. It was 4 tenths. It was nothing. It was going down to 3 tenths, now 2 tenths, and now he's actually going defensive. And then what I did here, I realized that there was no possibilities of going to the inside. I stayed on the outside of the corner, but he changed the direction of the car. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I think he clipped the gravel there, which unsettled his car, and then he just wanted to get back to his normal racing line. Either way, it was a good race, but I got a 2-second penalty, which I don't think I really deserved. He took the win of this race, but I wasn't disappointed. I really didn't think that he was gonna get there, but it's fine in the end. Oof, okay, what a race.